Well, welcome to Level 1 Flow. I'm so thrilled to be here at Mosaic Yoga. And for those of you who are joining me on Facebook, welcome. For those of you who are joining me live, so grateful to be here. It's a little bit of a learning curve, obviously, because now I'm teaching to two different mediums at the same time. But having said that, one thing I think I learned in our last time is that welcome for anybody who's joining us on Facebook Live, but for those of us who are here, I'm going to do a lot better job of kind of teaching to you, I think those who are joining us on Facebook can figure out what's going on anyway, and I've got the mic set up and the camera and whatever, but, so I like the fact that we get kind of the best of both worlds, and for those who want to be here, we've set it up so that we can be, pretty good distance, even more than 6 feet apart. We're like 10 feet apart from each other, which is nice. And then we do a really good job of, cleaning up after and all that jazz. But then, we're just trying to figure out how to make this work moment by moment, just kind of rolling with the new things as they come along. So really happy to take any suggestions you have, really happy to take any needs you have, whatever, and we're just kind of make this roll. Does anybody have any needs for practice today? Anybody want to work on anything in particular? All of it, head to toe. Anything, any particular stretches, poses you really want to focus on today?
Maybe back bending kind of stuff.
Back bending kind of stuff, sure. And what would you say? The whole body, yeah. After doing all that dancing, it'd be nice to just kind of get into all of it, yeah. Awesome. Anything, Kate?
Everything sounds good.
Perfect, all right. I'm going to invite you to come to a comfortable seated pose, whatever that looks like for you. I've got a block handy. You don't necessarily need to have a block, but if you do, great. I like to sit up on the edge of a block, especially at the first part of practice before I'm really loosened up. My hips are a little bit tight, so I find that doing a little lift in the seat helps open me up to sit a little more comfortably. Now, class is going to last about an hour and 10 minutes here, and what we're going to do is we're going to start with our palms open, thumb and first finger together. As we close our eyes, give yourself a couple of breaths in and out through the nostrils. In fact, it might be nice to start as you breathe in, hold your breath for a second, and then send a sigh out your mouth. Let's do that again. Inhale. Hold your breath and sigh. One more. Now let's move into our Ujjayi breath. Slow breath in and out through the nostrils. One of the names for Ujjayi breath could be translated as the victorious breath. And I like this notion as sort of illustrated by a story in the Bhagavad Gita. You've got this warrior prince Arjuna, and he's conversing with the god-turned-mortal Krishna. And they're about to go into a battle, and Arjuna's kind of freaking out about the whole thing. And Krishna kind of pushes pause and kind of faces him and says, hey, look, you're looking at this all too linearly, too rationally. The truth is that we've already won. And this is just sort of rewinding the tape, so to speak, to review how it all happened. So whatever challenges we may be experiencing in our lives, whatever is happening on a citywide, national-wide, global-wide level, vis-a-vis COVID, vis-a-vis, racism, let's rest in the assured knowledge that, sure, there's a lot of work to be done, but we are assured success. So let's move forward with confidence, let's move forward with creativity, especially let's move forward with love in our hearts as we uncover the ways in which we all make it. And to this, if you want to join me, we'll put our palms together, hands to heart, and we're going to chant the word Om. You're welcome to listen or join in. Inhale. Beautiful work. Hands to knees, lean over to one side and roll around. I've been doing a lot of Zoom classes, and it's funny because usually I will mute everybody's audio, and so it literally feels like I'm just in a room by myself. You can feel people on the other side, so to speak, but to actually hear other ohms in the room is kind of nice. And especially, I think, last time we did this socially distanced live class, it kind of dawned on me just how much I missed having other people in the room. Just like I was speaking here earlier, like there's that energy exchange when people are in the same room together. It's been really nice. Do a nice big tall sit up. Turn to one side, so turn to your right. Maybe your left hand goes to your knee, your right hand to the floor behind you. Sit up nice and tall. Do a gentle twist. And then turn your head in the opposite direction and tilt your head back a little bit. Now the arm that's behind you, your right arm, is going to drop down a little bit. And you're going to breathe into that side of your neck. Let's take kind of a gentle approach as we begin this practice today. Understanding we'll get deeper as we warm up, but we don't need to rush into anything. Release, switch sides here. Sit up nice and tall. Do a gentle little twist in the other direction. Now you're twisting your head, your torso in one direction, and you're twisting your head in the opposite direction. Then tilt your head back, a little lift of the chin, and continue to breathe in and out. Good. Now, in this seated position, keep your right knee bent. Extend your left leg off to the side, so kind of mirror what I'm doing. Okay. Sit up nice and straight, and then reach over, grab your big toe with your peace fingers or behind your calf. Reach your other arm up toward the ceiling and reach in the direction of your big toe. Like if you're flexible enough to grab your toe, more power to you, right? If you're a little bit more like me, this hand and this foot have never officially met. Right, but nonetheless, I'm just enjoying the space here. Now, what I like also is placing my hand behind my head, and then as I pull my head gently back into my hand, I get a kind of support in the neck, but I also get this great stretch running down the side of my body here. And whereas we're still just kind of getting into the process here, don't worry about getting to your most intense stretch. Now, send your top arm up toward the ceiling. Release your big toe. You're going to put this hand to the floor, prop up onto your knee, and reach in this sort of kneeling pose. It's a variation of gateway posture. Similarly, if you wanted to, bring your top hand back behind your head and pull your head back to kind of leverage open a deeper stretch through your side. Looks great, everybody. Deep breaths. Ease your way back out of this thing nice and slowly. And then let's just do a switcheroo. So this knee bends and the leg straightens out. Reach over, grab your peace fingers around your big toe. Send probably your left arm up in the air and reach over to the side. If you love having this hand hang out in space, great. If you can grab your toe, wonderful. You might even think of turning your trunk toward the ceiling. Alternatively, place your top hand back behind the base of your skull. As your head pulls back into your hand, point your elbow toward kind of where off to your right, kind of where the ceiling and the wall meet, and draw your sitting bones more down toward the mat. Allow your breath to be the principal agent of transformation here in this pose, even more so than the stretch. Place a lot of emphasis on your breath. Ease your way back upright. Plant your left hand down to the mat. Prop up onto your knee and reach. If it serves you, bring your hand behind your head and point the elbow off to the side. Good. Ease your way out of this thing. Come into a hands and knees pose, facing forward on your yoga mat. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, and inhale. Let's start to move into a cat-cow. So lean your chest forward as you breathe in, and exhale, round your spine, draw your tailbone under. Inhale, lean your chest forward, heart lifts. Exhale, round your spine. And as you're doing this back and forth, feel into exactly what your body's offering you today. Feel into where the tension is, where the tightness is, right? Feel into exactly how your shoulders are responding to this. Any limitations where you can choose to honor those here. Now, the next time you exhale, round your spine, lower all the way to child's pose. Inhale, come back to hands and knees pose. Lean your chest forward. And exhale again, round your spine, back into child's pose. Back to hands and knees. Good. And keep doing this back and forth. Now, for those of you at home watching on Facebook, you're going to do a little bit more. I'm going to show less of the poses. I'm going to be talking more through the poses. So this is a nice way to sort of internalize. I'll definitely show poses that maybe need a little bit of explanation, but I want you to use more of your, just listen to what's happening, visualize it as much as you can. Okay, so the next time you inhale, come to hands and knees pose, lift into a downward facing dog, and let's hang out there for a couple of breaths. Once you're in down dog, kind of pedal your knees. Right knee bends a little bit, then left knee bends a little bit as you're moving side to side. Maintain your deep Ujjayi breath. Yeah, really let your neck relax here. Perfect. We're going to take a deep stretch sort of out of the equation, really deep stretch out of the equation. In fact, I'm going to encourage you to bend your knees as much as you can so your thighs practically touch your belly. Look up to your palms as you lift your sitting bones up toward the ceiling. Good. And then as you exhale, straighten your legs, lift all the way up onto the balls of your feet, tuck your tailbone under, and round your back. You're going to roll halfway to a plank pose. Even look up toward your navel. So kind of a humpback version of downward facing dog. Yeah, perfect. Now come back to the first version. Knees bend, lift your hips, look up toward your palms. And then exhale, straighten your legs and roll halfway to plank. So we're kind of going from this bent knee down dog into kind of rounded plank. And yeah, good. You're going to roll tailbone through middle back, through shoulders, and you kind of really get this kind of worm-like action happening with your spine. The action actually begins at your toes, moves through ankles, knees, hips, runs the length of your spine. Good. The next time you do this, you're going to roll all the way to a plank. It's kind of like this worm-like action. You're going to roll all the way to plank and hold plank for a couple of breaths. Now, your plank could look like knees to the mat. Your plank could look like knees off the mat. It's totally up to you. But listen to what your body is asking for. What can you do comfortably? And on your next exhale, I invite you to lower down to chaturanga. Come all the way down into belly. A dynamic cobra, you're going to start with your shoulders. As you roll your shoulders back, peel your chest off the ground on an inhale. And then as you exhale, lower back down, belly, chest, chin, back to the mat. Perfect. Inhale, roll up, cobra pose. Exhale, lower back down, belly, chest, chin. Okay, now keep doing this on the rhythm of your own breath, and you get to choose how deeply this posture is for you. Listen to your spine. What I'm noticing that I'm seeing here, and the people that are here, how well you're lifting using your shoulders. The head just feels like it's along for the ride. That's excellent. We're not building any tension. Next time you come up to cobra, hold cobra and loosen neck by doing a slow motion turn side to side of your head. Good. Keep the breath going. Neutralize, lower back down to belly, either through upper push-up or hands and knees pose. Make your way back up into a downward facing dog. Put the top of your right foot down to the mat, toenail side down. With a little bit of pressure, get into your this tibialis anterior, this front shin muscle. Roll over through the knuckles of your toes. Get a little bit of action through those joints. And then after you've done that, switch sides. Left foot, toenail side down to the mat. Put a little bit of pressure there as you roll through the knuckles, back over under the pads of your toes and back over under the top. I think this would be particularly good for hikers, for dancers, really anybody with toes, could really benefit from this kind of thing. Bend your knees a bit, look forward to your hands, and inhale. When you exhale, do a step, a hop, or walk, feet to hands. So you're going to inhale into a high squat. Drop your butt about as low as your knees. Look forward as your shoulder blades pull together. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Straighten up your legs, fold forward as you round your spine, chin to collarbones. Inhale, bending your knees, look straight forward. Perfect. And then exhale, straighten up and fold forward. As you're doing this, notice how alternatively you're inhaling, draw your shoulder blades forward, straight spine, bent knees. As you exhale, straighten your knees, round your spine. Inhalation, the spine goes straight. Exhalation, the spine rounds. As you're doing this back and forth, notice how you're warming up glutes, hamstrings, quads, shins, all the muscles along the spine. You're articulating each vertebra along the spine. It's excellent, really excellent. Really nice. Beautiful. Now, the next time you exhale, stay in this forward fold for a couple of breaths. Shake your head no, shake your head yes, and allow your shoulders to settle. Take a fat inhale, long exhale and a sigh. One more time, inhale. Now step your right leg back into a kneeling lunge. Fingertips are on the floor. Right leg goes back first to a high lunge, and then the knee comes to the floor. And keep your right toes curled under. Just do a little lean forward so you feel just the beginnings of a groin stretch on the right side. I feel this slightly into my quads, but mostly it's the muscles that connects the leg bone through the pelvis to the back, so the groin. Plant your palms and slide back into down dog with the inside edge of your feet together. So kind of a funky version of down dog. Preparing for some classical sun salutations. Inhale, lift up onto your tiptoes, roll forward into plank. So we should be practiced at that by now. Now this time, even if you're good at chaturanga, bring your knees to the mat, keep your butt in the air, drop chest and chin to the mat. Yeah. Now drop your hips as you roll your shoulders back and move into cobra pose, but toes stay curled under. It's weird, I know. And then lift back into downward facing dog pose. Nice. Now, essentially, we're going to reverse what we just did. So as you inhale, step your left foot between your hands and drop your right knee back to the mat. Yeah. And then you're going to lean into lefty, do a big step so that right foot comes forward to meet the left. A little bit of the knees, swing your arms forward and up with a little arch in your back before you bring your arms parallel to the floor and hands back to heart in your purpose for practice today. Okay, so inhale, arms forward and up again. Raise your arms to the sky, little arch in your back. As you exhale, fold forward into Uttanasana. Step your left leg back to your kneeling lunge position. Give yourself a couple of breaths. Keep your left toes curled under. Kind of look forward just a little bit. As your sternum leans forward, it gives you this stretch all the way down to the groin. Plant your palms now and slide your feet back into a down dog with the inside edge of your big toes touching. Lift up onto tiptoes, tuck your tailbone in, roll into plank. Use your core strength to articulate your spine. Beautiful, everyone. Knees, chest, chin to the mat as you exhale. Roll your shoulders back to cobra. Keep the toes curled under. It's kind of weird. Yes. Well done. Lift back into down dog as you exhale. Yeah, I love it. Right foot goes forward between the hands on the inhale. Left knee touches the mat. Take that big step as you bring left foot forward to meet your right foot. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Reach your arms forward and up to the sky. Big inhale as your spine arches slightly. And then exhale, hands together, back to heart. Here we go again. One breath per movement. Inhale, up. Exhale, dive forward. Inhale, right leg back to a kneeling lunge. Exhale, down dog, feet together. Lift up and roll into plank. Inhale. Knees, chest, chin, exhale. Cobra pose, inhale, remember toes stay curled under. And down dog, exhale. Left foot forward between hands, inhale. Right knee touches. Exhale, step right foot forward to meet the left. Stand up, inhale with an arch in your back. And exhale, hands to heart. Forward and up, inhale. Dive forward, exhale. Step the left leg back, kneeling lunge, inhale. Plant your palms, slide your feet back, down dog. Roll to plank, inhale, and knees, chest, chin, exhale. Cobra, inhale, open up your chest, down dog, exhale. Right foot steps forward, breathe in, left knee touches. Take a big step forward. Lefty comes forward to meet righty. Stand all the way up. Inhale with an arch in your back. And exhale, hands back to heart. I'm going to direct one more of these. Inhale, forward and up. Beautiful. Hands forward to the toes. Right leg steps back, kneeling lunge. Inhale. Yeah, step it back to down dog on the exhale. You got it. Roll forward into inhale. Knees, chest, chin, exhale. Cobra pose. Inhale. Down dog. Exhale. I love the breath, everyone. Left foot goes forward. Inhale. Yeah, right foot follows. Exhale. Perfect. Stand all the way up. Inhale, reach to the sky. Little arch in your back. And exhale, hands back to heart. Last time, last side. Feeling good, everybody. Inhale, lift, arch, dive forward, exhale. Step lefty back, inhale, kneeling lunge. Righty back to down dog, exhale. Bringing it home as you roll into plank pose. Knees, chest, chin, exhale. Cobra pose, inhale, open up your chest. Down dog, exhale. Righty comes forward, inhale between the hands. Left foot follows on the exhale. Lovely, all the way up, inhale. Hands back to heart, exhale. So good. Now we're going to hold a pose. So move into chair pose and hold this position. Choose your version. A more intense version would be to place your palms together, clasp your thumbs, bring your hands back behind you, and use your head pulling into your wrists, elbows pointing to the sky to really find your back muscles, and then draw your tailbone slightly down toward the floor to complement all that upper back engagement with some lower abdominal support. Now, if you'd like to make this a little more challenging, you can lift your heels up off the ground. Perfect. If you're a challenge junkie, you may also want to do like word problems in your head as you do this. If one train leaves the station at 9 o'clock and the other train. Drop your heels to the floor, dive forward kind of in a karate chop, and just hang out. Fingertips to the floor, lean forward under the balls of your feet and lift your heels off the ground, round your back. Tune into your inner Bruce Lee, who could probably do fingertip handstands. Not that that's necessarily where we're going, but we're finding that roundedness in the spine, like that lift. This is sort of like the kind of Pilates work you would do, like really deep core work. Plant your palms and step or hop back into Chaturanga Dandasana. Yeah, energy feels great in here. Cobra or up dog position, your classic cobra or up dog, whatever that looks like, and then we'll lift back into downward facing dog. Right leg lifts in the air, bend your right knee, open it to the sky, and let's make 3 hip circles. So right knee moves into chest, exhale, opens up toward the sky, inhale. 3 big hip circles around. And on your last breath, step your right foot forward between hands and raise your arms toward the sky, crescent lunge position. Now, our front leg is our stabilizer, right? And particularly the muscles that stabilize this are the gluteus medius, the piriformis muscle, right? In tandem with quadriceps and hamstrings. So I want you to feel like your feet are trying to pull together. So you're activating hams on this side, quads on this side. Feel like your legs are squeezing into each other to activate your inner thigh muscles, right? So with these fired, then that's going to give a lot of support to that muscle that we are going to engage, right? Arms to the sky or elbows bent. We're going to hold this pose for a little while. Dig in deep with a long inhale. Solid exhale. Soften the jaw. Let's meet intensity, not with more intensity, but with the fluidity, kind of the ability to go with the flow, right? Hands to heart, twist to your right. So your left elbow moves to the outside of your right thigh. Now my trick is to look down to my big toe. It keeps my balance sure. And then once I've got everything set, then I'll look up toward the sky. And if you feel like going a little deeper, then extend your arms, right arm toward the ceiling, left hand to the floor. There's even a bound option of this pose if you want to wrap your right hand behind you, left forearm underneath the thigh. Check in with your shoulders. Looks good. Super straight with your back leg. Yeah, Perfect. Now come back up to crescent lunge pose. And right about now, your leg's like, hey, this would be a good time for a break. But we're going to go just a little bit deeper. Hang with me. Bring your hands behind you. Roll your shoulders back as you begin to straighten your arms. Bend your left knee either almost to the floor, or if you're like approaching quadricep failure, bring your left knee all the way to the floor. Okay, so you get to choose. Left knee is like hovering like an inch off the ground. Use your inner thighs, remember, squeezing toward each other. Use your hamstrings and quads squeezing toward each other. Go one more deep breath here like this. Good. Now release your hands to the floor. Check it out. You're going to drop to the outside edge of your left foot. You're going to turn on your right heel so your toes point out. Now this is going to seem like an arm bounce, but it's actually just a hip opener. You're going to push your right hand into your knee, lift your right hip up toward the ceiling, and feel as if your left collarbone were trying to pull in the direction of your right ankle bone. Squeeze as if you're trying to pull your feet toward each other. Now reach your right arm toward me and do a turn to your left. You may want to grab a block if you have one, so that your right leg is straight and left knee is bent into Skandasana. Now Skandasana is all 10 toes facing forward in the same direction. I might even put a block underneath my left sitting bone if I want. Skandasana B could be to turn your right toes open toward the ceiling. Now, I find in this pose that, especially if my hips are a little bit tight, the more that I turn my bent-kneed toes to the left, the more I open up that hip, the easier it is to balance here in this pose. I bring my hands forward because if I don't, I fall back on my buttocks, right? Now you're going to walk your hands the rest of the way to your left. So you're facing backward on your yoga mat with your right knee touching the mat. This low lunge. Put your right hand just off of your yoga mat. Bend your right knee. Did I say that right? Put your right hand just off your yoga mat to the floor. Bend your right knee. Reach back with your left hand to grab your left foot for a bit of a quadricep stretch. Yeah. Deep inhales, exhales. If you love this, you can't get enough of this, place your right forearm down to the mat. Tilt your head back even further. Use your head as the lever to articulate your spine. The bottom part of your spine is connected to your pelvis, upon which the muscle we're stretching is connected as well. So by tilting your head back, you're taking this sort of chain reaction approach to stretching the quads deeper. Good. Both hands come back to the mat to curl your right toes under and send your arms forward and up to the sky. You're in crescent lunge pose facing backward. So I'm talking about. Excellent. Now as you're holding this pose, again, elbows could be bent, arms could be straight. I'm focusing on what's happening in the legs. So squeeze as if you're trying to pull your legs together and pull them to midline. Right? So think of a middle line along the center of your yoga mat that your inner thighs are contracted, trying to pull to middle that way, and that the quads and hams are contracted, trying to pull them toward each other. Now hands come to heart. Look down to your big toe. Twist right elbow to the outside of left thigh. Yeah, nice, good. Pull your left shoulder back as you push your left hand into your right, and then that's your pose, or expand and bring your arms wide. Left arm to the sky, right hand to the floor. Receive this pose with a fat inhale. Long exhale. Super solid, everybody. As straight as you can in your back leg. That's our stabilizer. That's our main stabilizer here. Bring it back up to the sky, arms toward the ceiling. Nice full big breath in. Bring your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers as your arms go straight. Stretch your chest, your pec muscles. Bend your right knee almost to the floor and squeeze like you're trying to pull your legs together. Lift up through your sternum, little lift through the collarbones, your heart. If you need to, put your right knee all the way to the floor for a little SOS. 2 more breaths, you got this. Super, super solid. Now release your hands to the floor. Put your right hand on the mat, and you're going to turn to your left. So you pivot on your left heel, so your left toes are pointing off to the left. Drop to the inside or the outside edge of your right pinky toe. Put your left hand on the inside of your left knee and lift your left hip upward toward the ceiling. Your right hand is on the floor like side plank position, but this is more of a hip opener, particularly as your left hip lifts higher toward the sky. Good. How high can your left hip go toward the ceiling? How much can you push your left knee away from you? And then to complement, to refine this pose, right collarbone toward left ankle bone. Again, it's not going to move much. Perfect. Now, it's sort of like we set the spring. And here we're going to release the spring, reach your left arm toward the back window, swing it around to your right as your right knee bends, left leg is straight in Skandasana. Good, so the right knee is bent this time, left leg is straight. Get a stretch on the inner thigh, that's what I'm talking about. And again, you might find yourself here into our Skandasana A or Skandasana B. I've got a block underneath the right sitting bone if I want to turn this just into a stretch and keep the balance element out of this. Excellent work, everybody. Beautiful. Now walk your hands the rest of the way to the right. You're in this lunge position. Left knee comes down to the mat. Left hand goes off to the left. As your right arm swings behind you, bend your left knee to grab hold of your left foot. Pull your right shoulder back. Kick your left foot into your hand like it's trying to free itself from your hand. So there's this kick action with your leg, pull action with your arm. Complement this by pulling your head back, deep breath up into your collarbones, into your chest, yes. And if you want to go deeper, then drop your left elbow down to the mat. Perfect. Excellent, everybody. Deeper isn't always better. Remember, it's just deeper. But nonetheless, if that's the right tool for the job, go for it. Maybe 3 more breaths here. So good, everyone. So good. At the end of those 3 breaths, gently let go of your left foot. Come back into a downward facing dog for 4 or 5 long breaths. If you need to recover a little bit with a few sighs out your mouth, if you need to move your hips around or pedal the knees, be my guest. Right leg lifts in the air, bend your right knee, open it toward the sky. 3 hip circles, so knee to chest, exhale. Knee opens up toward the ceiling, inhale. Did I say left? I must have, because everybody's got the left going. We're going to stick with left. I was thinking right, but when everybody is doing something uniformly, like maybe the problem is moi. Step your left foot all the way forward between your hands. Open up into Warrior 2 on the left side. You can sort of ascertain everybody's political leanings by which side they tend to favor. We're clearly a leftist group here. I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Right hand to hip, left palm open to the ceiling. Now, similar to what we've done in the past, you may choose to bend your left elbow, put your hand behind your head, and use that head-to-hand business to continue to open up your side. Your right hand might slide behind you to grab hold of the inside of your left thigh, or like what some of you do, you can even interlace your fingers between your shoulder blades. Yeah. Try bending your front knee even deeper. Yeah, beautiful. Okay, now unwind, keep your left knee bent, left hand to the floor, side angle pose, extend your right bicep across your temple, turn your palm to face the wall behind you, so the right thumb is up toward the ceiling, pinky finger down to the floor. So do a little switch. There you go, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Now, if you would like to do the bind in this pose, wrap your right hand behind you and either rest your hand to the outside of your left hip for half bind, or bring your left forearm underneath your thigh for the full bind. Whatever you can hold for the next 12 minutes. Back to Warrior 2, let's inhale. Open up, let's give those quads a nice break by first turning your right hip toward your toes. Lean forward like you're going to do a sagittal plain forward fold pose. But then from there, put your hand on the floor of the block, put your right hand to your hip, and roll your shoulder back as sort of the driver to begin to open up your chest. So yeah, right hand to hip. Now, we got two things going on here. Similar to what we've done in other poses, pull your shoulder blades together to broaden and open up your chest. Lift your pubic bone towards your navel to complement the stability of this pose using strong core. And then either keep this because it's amazing and feels great, or raise your right arm toward the sky. Yes. Big fat inhale, spread fingers or keep your hands together, but there's some energy up all the way in your hands. As you exhale, sink a little deeper into this pose. Yeah. Similarly, looking straight forward toward the wall, toward like that corrugated steel wall thing, the door over there is going to be balancing. Looking up is going to be energizing. Looking down is going to be grounding. So even by the way your gaze looks in this pose is going to sort of denote the kind of energy you're going to evoke in this posture. Another deep breath here. Go perhaps just a little bit deeper. Bend your left knee as we prepare for half moon pose. Lean forward on the left leg. Slowly pick up right. If you got a block, wonderful. Right hand to the sky. Again, my secret is to look down first, find your balance, and then when or if it works, send your gaze upward toward the sky. Find the outside, yeah, nice, Kate. Find the outside glute muscles, that glute meat that lifts your right heel high off the floor, strengthening. It's also going to help you balance. Last thing we're going to do, put your left hand to heart as you explore the look ma, no hands version of the pose. So other hand there, Ben. The bottom hand comes to heart. That's what I'm talking about as we find ourselves just balancing on the leg. So good. Now right hand comes down to the mat. Left hand comes down to the mat. Kneeling lunge position. So step your right foot all the way back, right knee to the mat, and we're going to hang here in a pose that hopefully is grounding. Feels amazing. If you want to go deep in this pose, take Charlie's Angels Mudra, this interlace your fingers, point two fingers up toward the sky business. Tap into your own inner Charlie's Angel. Last breath. So good, everyone. Hands hit the mat, step it back into downward facing dog or an optional vinyasa. Now, when you do come back to down dog, hang out here for 4 or 5 breaths. If you need more of a repose in down dog, bring your feet as wide or wider than your yoga mat and kind of lean back into your feet so you take a lot of the tension off of your shoulders. This is a nice, gentle way to do down dog. What I'm noticing here, and the people who are here, is how well arms are super straight in this pose, spine is super straight. There's this great angle from wrists straight up to sitting bones. It looks really nice, everybody. So if your feet are wide, bring them back to hip bone distance apart. Better said, even bring your right foot right into the middle of your yoga mat. Bring your left foot into the middle of your yoga mat, because we're going to bring the right leg up in the air. Bend your right knee and make 3 hip circles in the right. So, yeah, that's kind of what I meant, Denise. Thanks. The middle could be translated as so many different ways. What middle exactly are you talking about? Good. Now step your right foot all the way forward between your hands and open up into Warrior 2 on the right side. And you might even give yourself kind of hands to hips, kind of figure out how hips are balanced one to the other. This will sort of be the base camp for all of these poses. Arrange so that your right knee is directly over your ankle, that your middle toe and your kneecap are kind of in the same line. Good. Little lift in the pubic bone. Plant your left hand to hip, turn your right palm open, reach up, start to lean back into reverse Warrior 2. If it serves you, put your right hand behind your head. Great to balance, neutralize your neck, but also you can use your head as leverage to open up your side body more. Good. Lefty might wrap behind you for the half bind or interlace your fingers between your shoulder blades. No strain is invited, so if there's some part of this that just really isn't working for you, back off a little bit. Bend your front knee maybe a little deeper. Unwind as you place your right fingertips to the floor or forearm to thigh. Left arm goes across your temple into side angle pose. If you get into the pose and your body's like, yes, that's where you need to stop. Like, that's where you need to stop for the moment, right? If you're a little bit too deep and you know it, don't try to just, force your way there. If you're kind of left wanting, go a little bit deeper. Now check in again. If you feel like going deeper in this pose, now wrap your left hand behind you for the half bind, and or maybe bring your right forearm under your thigh for the full bind. Right? If you need a little repose and take a quick triangle and come back into the pose, great. We've got maybe 2 more breaths here. Yeah, everybody. Okay, unwind back to warrior 2. Straighten up the right leg. And so here we're in this sagittal plane, right? This plane. And we're going to switch to we're in the coronal plane, this plane. And we're going to switch to sagittal plane, this plane. So in other words, you're going to turn your trunk to face the direction of your toes. Your left leg is going to basically stay where it is. From this point, lean forward. You're arranging your thigh bone in your hip socket. Lift your right butt cheek up toward the sky. Hanging out here, I already get a stretch in the quad and the hamstrings. Hand to shin, hand to block, hand to floor. Put your left hand to hip. Roll your shoulder back and draw your tailbone long. Then look up toward the sky. And I could get everything I want in triangle pose just hanging out right here. Or it might feel good then to raise left arm toward the ceiling. Now, when I get in this pose, I feel like the ball of my right big toe roots into the floor, and I'm trying to pull the right groin back. So I'm consciously stretching the right inside thigh. And there's this sort of loop action that happens from tailbone to pubic bone, kind of the pubic bone lift, tailbone getting longer feeling. Good. Excellent. I like it. Yeah, the variation is perfect. Now we're going to hang out here for a little longer. So how do you need to adjust your body to thrive in this position? Is it going deeper? Is it backing off? Is it adjusting your gaze up, middle, down? Listen to your body. It's going to tell you, yeah, now it's time to go a little bit deeper. Or, you know what? We would really thrive if we could back off just a degree. Deep inhale. Good. Long exhale. Now look down to the floor as we prepare for half moon Ardha Chandrasana. Bend your right knee a little. Lean forward. Pick up your back leg. Perfect. Yeah, start with the gaze all the way down to the floor. Get everything set. Back leg is lifted. Beautiful. I love how active your feet are, everybody. It's lovely. Good. I hear the breath. It's amazing. Now keep your concentration on the foot that's on the floor. And if you're game, put your right hand to your heart as you balance only on one leg. The angels above you are holding your hand, keeping you up, kind of the theme for life right now. And both hands come now down to the floor as you touch your left knee all the way back down to the mat into a long kneeling lunge position. Yes. Lovely, and we're going to hang here. Now, I get a great stretch just hanging out right here. I'm also really tight in these muscles. You might find a deeper expression coming up into the Anjaneyasana variation of that pose. Yeah, deep breath. Beautiful. It's inspiring to watch poses happen in front of my face. It's really nice. Good. As you exhale, place both hands back to the mat. Make your way into a downward facing dog pose. If that means first going through a vinyasa, chaturanga, up dog, and down dog, be my guest. If that means sort of rolling up straight into down dog, also hang out there, be my guest. Now, after 4 or 5 breaths in down dog, let's take a dedicated rest. And if resting means coming to child's pose, great. If resting means staying in down dog, excellent. 7 or 8 breaths, but it's got to be decidedly a rest. Good. Anything qualifies as a rest. It could be standing forward fold, early onset shavasana, whatever you have, Good. Make sure that the breath is integral to whatever posture you're doing. The next 2 or 3 breaths, put yourself back into a downward facing dog. So if you're in a standing forward fold, walk your hands forward or step your feet back. We're going to work on some proto handstands, a variation of handstands. Now, you may want to take a look up here. I'm going to look up to my thumbs, step my left foot forward a little bit. I'm going to take this Anjaneyasana approach, the kneeling lunge position approach to handstand. So I'm going to lift up, knee to chest, and come back down. Okay. Now, the more I pull my knee to my chest, the more I might find a little bit of balance up there. Okay. An unassisted handstand may or may not necessarily be our objective in the practice, but I do like the up and down. Keep your core engaged. Try 3 of these on one side and then 3 on the other. Yeah, good. Yeah, nice, beautiful, beautiful. Your core is sort of the glue that's holding upper and lower body together. Good. Nice. Beautiful. Take a little break and then try the other side. Now, I find too that it's really easy to spin out my energy in inversions because they're hard for 1. We're going upside down for 2. So one of the things I think it really helps is to coordinate the effort with my breath. So I'll take a big inhale in down dog. At the bottom of the exhale, I do the lift. If I'm going to hold the pose, then I'll keep breathing. But otherwise, I'll come back down, take an inhale. And the lifting on the exhale gives me some sort of rise. So it engages my diaphragm to help support that. But also then I'm doing 1 pose per breath cycle, and I keep that in line with the flow of my breath, and it feels a lot better. So you may want to try that. So if you've got a few more in you, let's try a couple more, coordinating with breath. Very nice. When you come back down, let's just roll through our wrists here. Every pose has many reasons, right? There's many avenues you could look as to the benefit for every pose. Of course, there's a body, mind, spirit, level to every posture. And in the physical level for upside down poses, we're building deep and superficial core strength, shoulder strength, right? Try like this. Right arm over your left, turn so your palms face each other. Bring your hands back, forward, and then through. On the energetic level, we're focusing on heart chakra, on throat, head chakra, so the upper chakras, we're bringing some energy up to that level. And on the sort of metaphorical, kind of spiritual level, I love the idea that we can explore what it feels like not only to survive when your whole life gets turned upside down, but how we can even have fun with it and thrive, right? So maybe we practice that in a yoga pose, and maybe we'll find application in every day. Awesome. Okay, so release this thing, make your way back into a downward facing dog pose. We're going to prepare for some hip openers. Send your right leg back up in the air, bend your knee. Make 3 hip circles in the right side, and after 3 of those hip circles, bring your right knee forward for pigeon pose, Kapotasana. Now, more or less, bring your right knee toward right wrist, arrange your shin to be either more parallel to the front of your mat or closer to your groin. Closer to the groin, your heel closer to the groin is going to be less intense. Heel away from the groin is going to be more intense. Take a look at your back foot. Make sure your back foot is toenail side down, both pinky toe and big toe. Alternatively, kind of like what you're doing, you could curl your toes under and it protects your patella. But either way, your back leg is straight and strong. Then start to walk your hands forward and drop into this easy kind of receptive version, passive version of pigeon. Receive the pose with a deep inhale. Long exhale. Now, if level 10 is your most intense stretch, what does level 6 feel like? Right, back off to a level 6. Take a couple of deep breaths here at a level 6. Your nervous system takes this big sigh of relief. It's like, I've got nothing to resist here. This just feels amazing. And then you're going to feel compelled to go further just because it feels good. So maybe on your next exhale, you find yourself moving even deeper into the pose. Last full breath in. As you exhale, maybe go just a little bit deeper into the pose as long as it feels good, and then take your time to slowly walk your hands back toward your shin. It might take a few breath cycles to make your way back into either a hands and knees pose or a downward facing dog. If you go to hands and knees, start to move in a figure 8 pattern through your hips. If you're in a down dog, pick up your right leg, shake it around a couple of times, little improv yoga. Pick up your left leg, shake it out a couple of times. Eventually, I'm going to invite you to place your left knee forward as we get ready for pigeon pose on this side. So perhaps left knee toward the wrist. Keep your Ujjayi breath going as you calibrate the posture. Figure out how far you want your left heel toward or away from your groin. Both sides of your hips are balanced. Glance back at your back leg and make sure your toes are doing what you think they're doing, whether that be curling your toes under or toenail side down. And when things are set, then slowly move forward into the pose. You set your foundation, you have a good direction, and then slowly make your way forward. Greet the pose with a deep inhale, long exhale. Let this pose sort of be a driver to practice letting go. I like that gesture of kind of palms open, both in this dual gesture of letting everything go, and at the same time, because you have nothing, you are ready to receive everything. So it's both a receptive as well as a giving gesture. Focus on the place where you feel the stretch. Give yourself 2 or 3 more long breaths here. Each breath going a little bit deeper as you release. Good. Ease your way slowly back out of this with your palms back to the mat. Either come through your hands and knees and move in a figure 8 through your hips, or come back into down dog and take hip circles with your left hip for a couple of rounds, maybe followed by the right for a couple of rounds. Good. Come back to a hands and knees pose. Knees pretty wide. Send your left arm up into the air into a twist, and you're going to thread the needle as you bring your left hand down between right wrist and knee. Reach your left shoulder as far as you can toward the right side of your mat. Plant your right palm to the floor and feel like your right hip bone, we're trying to pull down toward the mat At the same time, your right shoulder blade is pulling back. Now, some people like to wrap the right arm behind their body to get a deeper twist. Sometimes even extend their left leg perpendicular to their trunk toward the right side of the room to get a deeper twist that way. Let's go 2 more breaths here. At the end of those 2, come back to hands and knees pose. Roll through a couple of cat-cows. As you exhale, round your spine. Inhale, lean your chest forward. Just get a little back and forth in the spine here. And then we're going to neutralize as we get ready for the other side. So right arm reaches to the sky. Keep your hips pretty much over your knees. As you exhale, then thread the needle, right arm between left wrist and knee. Good. Greet the pose with a deep inhale. Long exhale. Yeah, really nice, everybody. If it serves you to wrap your left hand behind you for a deeper twist, be my guest. If it serves you to extend your left leg perpendicular toward the wall in front of you, be my guest. Yeah. Beautiful. Ease your way back out of this thing nice and slowly. Either a cat-cow position or figure 8 position with the hips, just kind of neutralize. We're going to end up in a seated position as you're ready to. Lean over to one side, pull the flesh out from underneath your sitting bones so that the edge of your hip bones, the ischial tuberosities, are rooted straight into the mat. Press the backs of your thighs into the floor so your quads are slightly firm. Reach your arms up and then do a gentle seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Feel free to hold on to the backs of your legs or keep your knees bent if you'd like. Last full breath. Ease your way out of this thing. Bring your feet to be about as wide as your yoga mat. Point your fingertips toward your toes. Pull in your belly. And you're going to do the slow motion, sort of dissolve straight into Shavasana. No, I thought of a brilliant application for face masks here. For Shavasana, you can just go like this and just go straight up into an eye mask. Brilliant. If there's any other pose your body needs to do to finish up your practice, take care of yourself. Now, for those of us who are at home watching this, if you feel comfortable with social distancing, you need to come to class just to get the acoustics for the clarinet. It's really, really nice. But we're going to take a moment here to totally let go. Send a sigh out your mouth. Let's adjust from the doing part of our being to rest solely in the observer part of our being. And as you listen to the music, there's nothing to fix, there's nothing to do, there's nothing right or wrong about the music. It's all just information. And I invite you to notice all the ways that the information washes through your being. The colors, the emotions, the thoughts, whatever. So take a couple deep breaths now into your belly. Move fingers and toes here. Raise your right arm over your head as you roll over to your right side. Come upright to a seated position. Open your arms, and as you inhale, float your hands upward toward the sky. With an exhale, hands back to heart, and you're welcome to listen or join in as we finish with an Om. Inhale. Thanks, everybody. Namaste.